This video is on solving trigonometrical equations when an interval has been given. So we need to give all the solutions between 0 and 360 for some questions here. So find all the values of theta between 0 and 360 for sine theta is equal to 0.4. The first thing I need to do is I need to solve this. So I need to take the inverse sine of both sides. So I will get theta is equal to 0.4. Okay, and then this is when I can put this into a calculator and see what my calculator gives me. So calculator gives 23.57817847 and 8202. Okay, so this is the value that the calculator gives you. Now if I draw the graph, I will notice that there are other values of theta here that will also give 0.4. And this is the principal value. So the principal value is the one that the calculator gives you. So I'm just going to draw a sketch of the sine graph. Now this is something you need to remember. Okay, so you need to remember how these graphs look, and also you'll need to remember where the 90 goes. So the 90 goes here, where the 180 goes, which is there, 270 there, and 360 there. So you will need to know the graph of sine, cos, and tan, and you would need to know what is happening between 0 and 90, 90 and 180, 180 and 270, and 270 and 360. Okay, and I know that this value here is 1, and this value is -1. This is theta here, and on this axis is the value that I get when I do sine theta. Okay, so I'll show where the 23 is. So if 0.4 was about here, so 0.4 is there, then I know that this is the value that my calculator gave. Okay, so 23.578 and so on. So that's the value that my calculator gives. So I know if I did sine of this value, I will get 0.4. But I know that also because there's another value here, if I did sine of this value, I will also get 0.4. Okay, so I'm just going to mark the other value that will give 0.4 as well, which is there. Okay, so there's another value there. Now my calculator is always going to give me the principal value, which is here. Now for sine, it will always give you a value between -90 and 90. Okay, so it never gives you a value between 90 and 180. It will always give you a value between -90 and 90. Okay, so and you have to use those values to find the other ones. Okay, now we know that there's symmetry, a line of symmetry for this part of the graph, okay, where there's 90. Okay, so that means this distance here would be the same as this distance here. So if I did 180 take away this distance, 180 take away this distance, I will get this value here that will also give me 0.4. So let's do that. So if I did 180 take away my answer, I will get 156. 1798. Okay, so this value here is the value that I just worked out. So that's the 156.421821521,798, and that's there. Okay, and you can verify this. Okay, so once do this on your own calculator and then do sine of this answer and see if you get 0.4. Okay, so these are the two values. Now I'll just round them to 2 decimal places. So this one will round to 23.58, and this one, it will round to 156.42. Okay, so these are the two values that satisfy this equation to 2 decimal places. Okay, so let's go to the next question. So this time I need to find cos theta is equal to -0.2. So again, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to do the inverse of cos on both sides. So I'm going to get theta is equal to the inverse of cos. Okay, and this is when I can just put this into a calculator. Now unlike sine, this this is actually going to give me a value between 0 and 180. So the principal value of cos, they give you 0 to 180. Okay, that's the value that the calculator gives. So this is going to be equal to 101.5369590328816. Okay, so this is the value that the calculator gives. Now again, I need to sketch the graph of cos, so let's do that. Okay, and again, I need to remember what is happening between 0 and 90, 90 and 180, 180 to 270, and 270 to 360. Okay, so I need to know that these values go in these places. Okay, also again, I need to know that this shape is very similar to this shape here, and this shape here we've got a line of symmetry at 180. Okay, also that this shape is very similar to this shape there as well. Now this value here, so 101.5369 and so on, it's somewhere around there, and I can see that it's minus 0.2, so let's mark that. So this, let's mark 1 and minus 1 first. So that's 1, that's minus 1, and minus 0.2 is about there. Okay, and this is the value that I got. Okay, now remember, for the cos graph, the principal value is from 0 to 180. Okay, so from 0 to 180, it will give you a value between there. And if I go up, that is 101.1.1.8. And I can see that the other value is going to be here. Okay, so the other value that will also give me minus 0.2 for cos is here. Okay, now how can I find this one? Now again, I know that there's symmetry here. Okay, so if I know this distance here, and then I can take it away from 270 there, or if I know this distance here, I can add it on to 180 here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find this small distance here, so I'm going to do this answer take away 90. Okay, so I'm going to do answer take away 90. Okay, and then that gives me 11.5369 and so on. Okay, so this is the distance here, so it's 11 point something, and then if I take away this number from 270, I should get my answer. So I'm going to do 270 take away this answer here. Okay, so take away answer again, and the answer I get is 256.8407184. Okay, so this value here is the value that I've worked out here, and that is 258, sorry, 0.4, and then carries on. Okay, so there's this value and there's this value. Both of these values will give me, if I worked out the cos of these two values, I should get minus 0.2. Okay, and these, I can see that these are the only values between 0 and 360 that will give me minus 0.2. Okay, and again, I'm just going to round them. So this rounds to, if I do to 2 decimal places, 101.54, and this one, it rounds to 258.46. Okay, alright, let's go to the next one. Okay, so this is the tan, using the tan graph. Again, I'm going to start that same way, so I need to do the inverse of tan. So I'm going to have theta is equal to the inverse of tan and 5 here, and I'm just going to put that into a calculator, see what that gives me. So this will give 78.69006752.598. Okay, now again, this is the principal value. Now for tan, it's between minus 90 and 90. Now I could have other values of tan tan theta that give me 5. Okay, and I need to draw my graph to see where they are. So the tan graph will look like this. Okay, and there's an asymptote here, and this is 90. Okay, so this is 90 here, and then we have that similar shape again. This is 180. There's another asymptote here. Okay, and this is 270, and then it finishes like that, 360. Now if you carried on, it would actually repeat this pattern again. Okay, so we have 78.69 and then so on, and this I know is somewhere around here, and the 5. Now notice that for the tan graph we don't go from 1 to -1. It actually goes all the way up to infinity, because this is a asymptote, and this will go high, really high, and it will never touch this line. So 5 can be marked here. So I can say that this is 5, and if I come down to this point here, okay, so I have that point there, and this is 78.69 and goes on. So there's this value, and also another value I can see between 0 and 360 that will also give me 5 when I do tan of it is here. Okay, so it's going to be here, so I'll mark that one as well. So if we carried on, there's a value here that will also give me 5. Okay, now how can I find this one? Now I can see that this distance here is the same as this distance here. So what I can do is I can do 180 plus this distance. Okay, and this distance I know is here already. Okay, so I can just do 180 plus this answer. So 180 plus the answer, and that gives me okay, so that's the value that I get. Now if I wanted to round them to 2 decimal places, so this one would be 78.69 and this one would be 258.69. okay, so these are the values. Now one thing that I would discourage is if you're trying to remember, okay, what do I add to my answer here, or what do I take away from my answer, or what do I take this away from? If you're trying to remember these rules, okay, that's not going to help you. It's always best if you draw a diagram and then you see for yourself where these values are coming from. Okay, so see for yourself where these values are coming from, and that's how you should be answering them, and that's how you're going to avoid making mistakes. Okay, so try not to remember, okay, it's always plus 180 when you're using the tan graph and things like that. Okay, so that's not going to help you. What's going to help you is if you're drawing these graphs and you're seeing for yourself where the values are. Okay, now one more question. Okay, this is a different one. We have sine squared theta is equal to 0.7. Now I'll just show what sine squared theta is. Sine squared theta is just sine theta squared. Okay, it's the same thing, 0.7. okay, so this is just another way of writing this. Okay, and this is the more common way you're going to see it written. Okay, so we have sine squared theta is equal to 0.7. So to just get sine theta on one side, I need to square root both sides. Now because it's an equation, I need to say, so I have sine theta here. If I square root this side, I need to say plus and minus because it's an equation. Okay, so I have this. Now I know that I need to do the inverse of sine. So let's do that. So I have theta is equal to, now I'm going to do it twice. Okay, so sine of inverse sine of square root of 0.7. okay, and I need to do it again for the negative value. Okay, so I'll start with this one. So let's do this one. Okay, and I'm just going to put that into a calculator and see what that value is. So this is 56.7890 892399101. Okay, so this is the value that I get from my calculator for this value. Now I know that also theta is equal to the inverse sine of negative square root of 0.7. Okay, and I'll see what that value is. Okay, so this time in the calculator I got minus 56.789089239101, and this I know because of the symmetry I should get the negative of this value. Okay, so if I sketch the graph now again I need to give my answers between 0 and 360. Now you might be thinking, okay, we don't need this one, but actually when we sketch it you'll see how we can use it. Okay, so the graph's going to look something like that. We're going to have 1, minus 1, 90, 180, 270, and 360. Okay, so using this value I can see that two values will be suitable for my equation here. So I can see that that is there. Okay, so this is square root of 0.7. It's there. Okay, and there's another value here. Okay, so I can find this value. I've got this value already and I need to find this value. So let's find that value. So it's going to be 180 minus what I have. So I'll just write it here. So 180 minus 56.789 and so on. And that's going to be 123.2109 and so on. Okay, so this is the other value. This is the value that's here. Okay, so this value. Now for negative square root of 0.7, I got the principal value, so that's between minus 90 and 90. Okay, so let's mark that one here. So the negative 0.7. Okay, so that's there, and I can actually see that there are two values that I need. So there's this value here and there is this value here as well. Okay, so I need to find both of these values. Now I can see that the distance here, so the distance here, okay, that comes here, is the same as this distance here. So I can do 180 plus this value. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so that's going to give me 180 plus 56.789 and so on. This gives me a value of 236.789. 089. Okay, and it carries on, and the final value I can see that it's going to be here, and this time I can take away this distance. Okay, so this distance is there from 360, so let's write that down. 360 take away 56.789, and it carries on. Okay, and the value I'm going to get is it's going to be 303.21091, and it carries on. Okay, so the values that I've got, I'm just going to highlight them here. So I've got this value. Now this negative value I'm not going to use because that's going to be here. Okay, I'm going to use this value. Okay, so this value there, and I have these values there that I've just worked out. Okay, so there's 4 values. I'm going to round them to 2 decimal places now. So I'm going to say theta is equal to 56.79 or 123.21 or 236.79 or 303.21. Okay, so I have 4 values here. 1, 2, 3, 4 values. Okay, all of them, if I use it here, okay, I should get 0.7. Okay, so these are the 4 values, and this is how you're going to work it out. So you make sure that you're sketching the graph and you're looking at how you're getting all of these values. Okay, now here are some questions for you to try. So try all of these questions, okay, answer them and then bring that to the lesson.